This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
So to come what you don't need to know, the Poop and Pee edition, Who Sucks Less, is on the way, and we'll drink it toast with a shot of the day. Our question, who do you wish you were not related to? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Cole. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So, I wish I wasn't related to my cousin Ellie. She just, when we were kids, you know that type of person that just, you know, the type of kid that just acts like perfect around adults and parents, aunts and uncles, and then just like is a total you-know-what behind the scenes.
Yeah, we call them kids. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple cousins that were adopted from Vietnam. She just completely made fun of them like the whole time. She like for years upon years doing stupid things, just being a total. I just completely laid it out on her one day and just told her straight to her face how much of a whatever she is kind of person.
You're not gonna die, are you?
No.
Okay, good. All right.
That sounds like you did a free dive and just made it onto the boat.
Did you, you don't have contact with her in your adult life, do you?
No. Well, I did once. I went over to the area where she used to live, after, like, we haven't seen her for, like, a decade or two.
Hold on. Before you get there, hold on.
I saw her, she, like...
Let me ask you a question, because back to the theory that we had. Now, I'm assuming all this stuff happened when you were growing up, and that's how you got to see each other, because you're cousins, and you see each other maybe once or twice a year or whatever. It's family, it's extended family, as you would say, with your aunts, your uncles, and all this. And you're saying that at this point in time, when this person was growing up, they were not a nice person, they treated people like crap, you didn't appreciate it. Now, let's fast forward, they're an adult. Are they a better person, or are they still the same piece of crap that they were when they were younger?
From what I hear from my other uncle on that same side, she's grown up a little bit, but she's the same type of person that my uncle and aunt just think is a total princess. And the last time I saw her, before I saw her just last year, I just bumped into her just because I was in the area. She just went home and cried to her parents, talking about how much of a horrible person I am. And just, like, went straight home to her parents and just talked.
Are you a horrible person? Yeah. What story did she tell about you?
I have no clue, but they hated my guts for ever since. So,
well, it doesn't sound like these are the kind of people you would need to hang out with, or would want to hang out with. Seems like a little too much drama there.
Like, everyone gets a little smarter, hopefully. You might not get wiser, but you certainly get smarter as you get older. But, right, at your core, you're the same person. That makes me think about the movie The Omen, right?
Damien.
Right. The kid was, 5, 6 years old?
Yep.
Some other cat realizes he's got 3 6s on his head. Baboons attack a car if you drive through the zoo. Like, everything effed up happens when this dude's around. He didn't think he's going to grow out of it. Like, that's the whole point of the movie, right? Like, this kid's not going to change, man.
Yeah.
He's the frickin' devil.
I think most teachers recognize that.
They have to know.
Especially if you're in a town where, you read the newspaper and you can see where someone goes to jail or whatever the deal is, and it's a small, bless you. More so than a bigger area, you'd be like, well, that kid went to the school. I knew that this was going to be the course that this was going to take. I mean, it's not too far-fetched. Who do you wish you were not related to? 844-999-OLA.
I mean, I agree to a certain extent, but also, I mean, that kind of sucks for him, right? Now his aunt and uncle hate him because he ran into his cousin.
Oh, absolutely.
Eddie Haskelled it and ran home and said, oh, he did this and that. Like,
I can't imagine that you could say something that an adult did unless an adult did something. Like, that's the difference. Like, like, hey, how you doing? How are things? How does that translate into, I'm going to run home? And you don't tell on an adult. Like, I don't even understand how
you don't tell your parents.
Goes. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't tell your parents. Right.
You have to come up with something elaborate.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, obviously.
I got to think the hardest thing about being a teacher, honestly, because you're right. Whoever your kid is, they've seen your kid 1,000 times, depending how long they've taught, right? And at some point, they have to do the parent-teacher conference. Mm-hmm. Like, so now you're a parent, you're looking, and you can tell them the academic stuff. Like, that's easy. Like, hey, Billy's struggling in math. Chances are you already know that. Joe here struggling with reading. You know that. And maybe your kid's a bit of a D-bag in school, and they can talk about behavior. But deep down, what that teacher really wants to tell you is, I'm okay with this because your son's going to be in jail by the time he's 16. Like, they know it, man.
Yeah,
they know it. But I just, as a teacher, I just think it'd be hard. Like, listen, I'm going to level with you. Don't even worry about it. This kid is a pile-up, and it ain't going to get better. Hide parents, your booze, lock up your cigarettes. He's going to be a father by the time he's 12, and he's already smoking crack.
Most parents can't get their kids to focus for 5 minutes. I mean, how many times you tell them to do this? Hey, could you please do this? Listen, I've asked you the third time. I mean, you hear it. I've heard it growing up, said to me. If I have to ask you one more time, none of that stuff changes. But when you're...
Oh, by the way, the answer to that as a parent, I discussed, because I never wanted to find out with my father. Now, my kids are much more enterprising, so let's find out. If I have to ask you one more time, I'm going to ask you one more time.
yeah. That's not bad.
Sadly, that's what it really means.
But teachers spend more time with your children than you do as a parent. If anybody, and it's focused, attentive time.
You have to make
this
them focus.
Is not 3 times I've got to ask you this stuff anymore. They're not ignoring this person. The teacher knows your child better than you do, even though it's your biological child.
Right.
That teacher knows that kid's going to jail. I mean, let's be honest here.
Right.
I mean, got 8 hours a day, watching how he interacts in a social environment at recess, or she acts, or passing notes, being in trouble, being a good kid, being a good student, not being a good student, paying attention. They see it all.
Man, but even dropping the kids off at school, like, I'm used to all the kids in their classes now, and you're like, that kid's going to be smart. That kid, the world's in front of him. That dude's going to jail.
Dude's going to jail.
And you hate to think it, but it's like, because they see you, and, hi, Mr. Steve, and they're cute kids. They're great. They're nice. And, you're talking to these kids, and you're like, I'm talking to a future con. I mean, and there's just no doubt in my mind about it, man. It's a terrible thing, but listen, you just can't. I know it sounds bad, but it's true, man. Ooh. You just mean it's certain things about the personality. You're like, look, they all love Pokemon, like superheroes. I get all that, but something about the personality within that, you're like, that person is going to be like a successful bank robber. They're going to be like a DB Cooper. Like, they'll get away with anything, but they won't do anything on the level. This kid's, but yeah, that kid going to jail.
Who do you wish you were not related to? 844-999-OLA.
Don't ask me tomorrow in the parking lot who I'm talking about. Yes, it's your kid. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So the person that needs to be jettisoned from the family is my wife's cousin. My wife has exactly 2 first cousins. And one of them, the month before we got married, came out, used my in-laws' place as an Airbnb to see fish for the 26th time. I'm not kidding with that. And
some people like
wait a minute. You got to know what you're getting into there, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I mean, it's kind of right there. As soon as you said that, you might go, maybe you don't rent this out as a B&B to them.
Right.
I mean, right?
So, yeah, but it takes an interesting twist because he used up all of his vacation time and money and then said, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not going to be able to make it next month to your wedding because I've used up all my time.
Because you saw fish 29 times.
26. Let's not exaggerate. You might make him sound obsessive.
Uh-huh.
And then 12 years later, I'd finally forgiven him. My wife and I had set up St. Patrick's Day party in Savannah, Georgia. He was all in, excited. And a month before, he posts on Facebook, can't believe I get to see you guys again. But it's to the band members of Panic at the Disco, which he's seeing in Washington, D.C. for the 23rd time.
You've got to be kidding me.
No.
At this point in time, you have to be bouncing around the room.
Oh, my head's exploding.
One random question. You sure it wasn't widespread panic?
Yeah. I don't
think
know.
It's probably widespread. Widespread.
DC.
Yeah, look, dude, one thing you need to know about that whole scene and that whole area, man, God almighty, I could remember when Dave Matthews came out. And Dave Matthews was right at that point in time just a brand new band. People did not give a crap about him in that Charlottesville area. The only thing was just a bunch of frat bros from Virginia going,
Widespread's coming next week, man. We're going to check out Widespread down in Athens, and we're going to go to Wilmington to check out Widespread, and then we're going to go to Winston-Salem and check out Widespread, and then from there we're going to go to Greensboro and check out. Like, shut up, dude.
Right.
Shut up, man. You only need to see them once.
Right.
I like Widespread Panic. They're an okay band, but God almighty, get your head out of your ass, you know?
Dude, John Mayer did the same thing.
Jesus Christ, it drove me nuts.
He played my buddy's frat house in Virginia.
Yeah.
And he played a bunch of them. That's why it's funny, like, his music got so poppy and popular there for a minute, but, like, now he's singing for Dead and Company, and people are like, man, he could really shred. Like, he was playing frats. Like, they weren't going to have him in to sing some of the songs.
Man, the reason I saw
widespread.
John Mayer, and it's a surprise, I didn't want to see John Mayer, but, the date did. So you go see John Mayer, and I was shocked because he played 2 songs that I hated, and oddly, they're the only 2 songs I knew from him. Your body is wonderland, and whatever the hell else he said. The rest of the time, he was shredding, he's covering AC/DC. I mean, I was stuck like the show finished, and I'm like, God damn, that why doesn't he put that stuff out? Why does he put out the stuff that sucks? I mean, sorry, man. It's like the singles he put out were the singles he put out, and they did well for him. But what I'm saying is,
it's like you cook real well, but at your restaurant you only serve bologna sandwiches.
Right. But I went to his house. You know what I mean? It was the most amazing meal I've ever had. So I went and saw this show, and I could not believe how good he was. He can absolutely shred on guitar. His band was cool, and I'm like, why do you release the garbage, man?
Oh, man, you hear that?
Do that?
Oh, Grapes are going to open up for Widespread this time around, man. Grapes, man. I love the Grapes.
Hello, Matt. Welcome to the men's room.
What up, fellas?
Hola.
So, I wish I wasn't related to my uncle.
What's wrong with your uncle?
So, I want to say about 5 years ago. Oh, a little bit about my uncle. He's been in and out of jail pretty much as far as I can remember.
Okay.
I run into him, we're hanging out, having a couple drinks, and he's saying he needs to get out of town. So me living in a different town, I invite him to stay with me just so he can get on his feet. And, he's not near influences that he was, in the town that he was in. So he comes over, he's, feeling homesick. So I go, all right, invite your current baby mama and most recent child to the house for like a week or so.
Oh.
I didn't have a problem with it. The girl was cool. The baby was whatever. I don't have a problem with babies. But fast forward like 5 months, I tell him to leave because he's not doing anything.
I knew it, man. I was like, you can't do that. Right. You can't open up the window. It can't be too comfortable.
So I asked him to leave. My fiance at the time was paying some bills, and she noticed a couple of checkbooks were gone.
Oh.
Yeah, and then so she doesn't really pay anything, herself. I always really pay everything. She goes through her wallet and notices one of her credit cards is missing too.
Look, man, let me give you a word of advice, and this is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't offer to lodge someone whose words are, I need to get out of town for a while. Right? I mean, just if that's the words they use for whatever the situation, like, you don't want to be a part of it, man. Trust me.
Holy cow. Who sucks less on the way? And emails from our question, who do you wish you were not related to? Coming up next from the men's room at mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitchola. You have entered the men's room.
Our question, who do you wish you were not related to? Here come those emails from the men's room at mensroomlive.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
This one comes from Bacon. He says, I can confirm on my end, I heard the rumor from a number of black people growing up that white people do not wash their hands, including a couple of my own family. It should be noted, not all of them washed their hands. My mother's parents are Jehovah's Witnesses and won't talk to her for not being one herself. It causes problems for my poor mom, and I hate it, and I hate them. Here's a weird one. Guys, I was dating my boyfriend for almost a year, and then my dad married his mom. We are no longer together, so now my ex of 10 years is my stepbrother.
Yay!
Seriously. Guys, answer to the question, my 2 younger sisters, both a mess. One was married to a guy, had kids here, and he split up. No divorce. Well, now dude is dating my other sister. They plan to stay together. As soon as they have kids, my nieces and nephews will be cousins and siblings. I'm getting white trashier by the day, and I am not doing S to earn that title. Love, Jeremy. Guys, my aunt at about 45 years old became a heroin addict and left her 4 kids and moved to live on the streets and then become a prostitute to get her fix. However, that is not why she pissed me off so bad that I wish I wasn't related. When my grandfather died, I volunteered to find her and tell her and give her a round-trip bus fare to go to the funeral. So I went on this hunt through the streets of Seattle with pictures of her until I actually located her at a woman's shelter. I told her about Grandpa, drove her to the bus station, bought and gave her a ticket, and returned her to the shelter. A week later, she was a no-show after I told her kids and all the other family that I found her and she would be there. Day after the funeral, she called my grandmother and asked to speak to my grandfather and acted like I had never found her or told her. Sad thing is, she was my favorite aunt growing up as a kid, but now half the family thinks I was just the hotshot city boy who never really spent an entire Saturday searching for her. I don't think you're a hotshot city boy for looking
hotshot city boy.
You're just looking for your prostitute aunt in the big city, aren't you, hotshot city boy? I don't think that anybody thinks that. That thought has crossed anyone's mind in the history of this planet. Guys, I was not related to my mom. I wish I was not related to my mom. She borrowed over $600 when I was saving up for my first car and never paid it back. She lost her job and our house when she was gambling. Apparently it's bad to write fraudulent checks while working for the bank. She also got my little sister addicted to meth, and she still struggles with it 18 years later. At Thanksgiving dinner, she told said sister that a brothel has good health insurance if she needed it. She was a hoarder before the drugs. The drugs made it worse, and she took over my grandmother's home with all her crap and destroyed the place.
Damn.
We have any texts?
We got a few. This is an interesting one. It says, I wish I wasn't related to my mother. She often let me know that I was a mistake. She should have aborted. Was the reason that my sister was court-ordered to be raised by my aunt. She fueled two of my brother's divorces and badmouths my oldest brother, who lives with her at age 66 and has a colostomy bag. She's 86 years of evil. Man, oh man. And by the way,
evil grandmas.
We were saying one of the hardest things about being a teacher, not just dealing with the kids every day, it is what it is. But the fact when you have a parent-teacher conference, because come on, man. You know the kids that aren't going to accomplish a damn thing. You know the kids going to jail, whatever. So comments come in and says, I'm a teacher. It's conference week. It is hard. I'm a teacher, and you generally know the kids that are going to have a difficult time in life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah.
They're 100% correct. Like, dude, we know. Hey, have fun at the conferences. Good luck.
I don't even know why they have, like career counselors at schools. The career counselor should be the person who spends the most time with a kid. As far as knowing what would be a better idea than not.
Right.
Like, you're not probably going to be an astronaut, young Mikey. I know you would like to be.
We know you like space.
You know how they say, you know what, you can grow up to be anything like the president? That is a lie.
Yeah.
That is inherently a lie. Do we have time for a few
And you need to know that, Timmy.
You really
do.
do.
Specifically.
The throat to party in our tummies.
Down the hola, picholas.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.
Of having your good time ruined. Bitches, my name is Jay, and my good time that got messed up was when I was in the Army and had been deployed to Afghanistan. At the end of my tour, I was one of the guys chosen to fly back with the equipment. So it was me and 11 other guys and the supply sergeant. Our second layover was a stop at an airbase in Germany, and they put us up in a hotel off base. My buddy Morales and I decided to go to Trier, Germany. Trier. Do you know, Robin? You have no idea, do you? Which is the oldest city where the Romans held rule over the Germanic tribes. Anyway, we camped into the city, found probably the only Irish pub, and began downing Irish car bombs. We became instant celebrities, and two German men, possibly gay, bought me another car bomb. Yeah. As I was drinking it, they are chanting, "Yeah, Irish car bomb, yeah." I believe they roofied me because I don't remember anything after this. Somehow my buddy got me back to the hotel. I came out of my blackout, and my sergeant was screaming at me to stay in my room. The next day, I was told I was functioning completely blacked out. I stumbled through the lobby, peed in the corner, proceeded to the pool area, got naked, backflipped into the pool, smashed my head on the bottom of the shallow end, and was carried to my room. When I was completely lucid, I realized I'd spent 2,500 euros in 8 hours. What the hell? LOL.
Yeah, LOL.
Yeah, LOL. Still to come, the return of what you don't need to know. We'll drink and tell us with a shot of the day, but first...
Now, the Men's Room wants to know... Who sucks less?
Yay! Time for Who Sucks Less. Steve the Thrill Hill. Every week you bring us 3 stories from the news. They all completely suck, but it's up to us to determine which of the 3 stories actually suck the least. Now, if you follow the Men's Room on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live, the debate is actually already underway in Who Sucks Less.
And this week, like last week, like every week we've ever done, Who Sucks Less, this week sucks. But essentially, as always, 3 contenders. We have a man that, you know what? I'll get to him last. Let me just get to the stories. Let's just get to the stories, all right? So now we're going to start in lovely Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where an activist there by the name of Jada Nengston. Now, she leased a duplex on Milwaukee's west side. She wanted to create a group home for girls that have suffered abuse. keep that in mind. She herself grew up on this very street and was definitely the victim of all kinds of abuse. She was trafficked on the street. She was raped at a nearby cemetery. She says, look, I'm going to open this place up because the same thing keeps happening, all right? Just keep that in mind. So her alderman supported the idea. She had furniture moved in. She decorated the place. Everything appeared to be on track until the Board of Zoning of Appeals shot the proposal down. They denied the application based largely on the testimony of one specific neighbor who spoke out against it. And that neighbor, not the actor Sean Hayes, but a random person by the name of Sean Hayes, he said, quote, I've dealt with a lot of youth. I try to help them, but I know the issues that come with them, and I don't want that across the street from my home. Seems fairly reasonable. But it wasn't until weeks later they'd learned that this same neighbor, Sean Hayes, he'd been arrested and charged with child sex trafficking and was turned into police by his own mother. In fact, he faces trial in June.
So he was able to block it.
He was the guy, right. We managed to get that blocked. This, I'm sure, is just a matter of coincidence, but a North Carolina man, he was the face of a new dating site for Trump supporters, okay? The idea is politics make people crazy, so you can go to, hey man, we already know where we stand. So he was convicted in 1995 on a felony charge stemming from filming sex with a 15-year-old girl. He was 25 at the time. So a photo of this guy, Barrett Riddleberger, and his wife Jody, was featured prominently on the homepage for this dating website until Monday, when his felony conviction for the incidents of liberties with a child was reported by multiple news outlets. His photo has since been replaced by that of another smiling man and woman. Now, it's unclear what exactly the Riddleberger's role is in the dating site, much less they were just models they used for the front. But once people realized what his history was, they thought maybe he shouldn't be the face of it.
Probably a good idea.
And here we go, finally. We have a married youth pastor. He's 35 years old. He was arrested for having a sexual relationship with a high school senior, and he gave her a birthday card that read, quote, "We're illegal." He handed it to her when she was 18. So Joshua Clemens, he has in fact been arrested for sexual assault on a child by a person in position of trust. He also has 2 counts of the same charge in Denver. He worked as a youth pastor at the Crossroads Community Church in Parker, Colorado, for about 9 years. And he's believed to have sexually assaulted 3 victims of the youth program. But in this case, he got turned in by the girl that he gave the birthday card to, saying, hey, now we're legal, which the cops say is pretty much all the evidence we need to know you were doing something illegal before that.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's the 3 you have.
All right.
These are heavy. Keep in mind.
Oh.
This is these people share the planet with you.
They share the country with us, too.
Yeah.
On this one.
You want to go or you want me to go?
You go ahead.
All right. The pastor having sex with the teenager, to me, sucks the most.
Yeah.
Just follow me here. Then I'm going to say the online dating using a convicted child offender is bad. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say the guy who spoke out against the halfway, or not the halfway house, but the home
for abused girls, sure.
I'm going to say he sucks the least because he's done so much evil. Maybe he just knew, like...
Too much of a temptation for him to be across the street.
He should have himself just moved. But
he hasn't gone to trial yet. He is suspected. His trial doesn't begin until June. So it'd be one thing if he paid his debt and said, look, man, I'm trying to do the right thing. I can't be around.
He's still a man who has been charged with child sex trafficking.
But he's out of jail, and his trial starts in June, meaning legally there's a chance he could get out.
He could be innocent.
Right.
Right, so I don't know. I mean, this game is always tough, but is there something to him sucking the least? Don't build it here.
I think the dating site sucks the least, only because I find it very unlikely that they knew this guy's past when they put him. Keep in mind, I want to say it happened like 25 years ago. Okay, the guy's 50 now. He did what he did when he was 25, which is awful. But he paid his debt as we have it legally set up. And at this point, he's just posing with his wife, okay? I don't think there's any way this website knew this guy's past, because what website would voluntarily use him as the face?
Anthony agrees with you on Facebook. He says the new online dating site is just a big whoops on the site's part.
It's a big whoops, but it's a whoops. It's got to be, right?
Right, yeah.
If they said, hell with it, we did it on purpose, that's one thing. But
jeez, Liz, people are saying some interesting things about the preacher.
I'm sure they are.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. The dating site
Like, there's no way you knew.
Right, they probably just made a mistake.
Let me ask you, is it a specialty dating site or is it just a run-of-the-mill, anybody can be involved?
No, it's, well, anyone can do it, but it's called, like, Trump.dating.com. The idea is
so
they said when people go on dates,
conservative
politics can dissolve. This way you say, listen, we agree on this, right? So that's already out of the way. Right.
And, man, sorry.
What?
I'm going to sound like the single hopeless romantic, but, man, I don't care what your politics are. We could date.
Yeah, no kidding. Like James
we got a
Carville
connection.
And
There's famous couples that disagree on politics.
Exactly. James Carville.
Oh, right. And who's this?
He speaks like it's 1850.
I know.
I'm James Carville.
And with a laugh,
I'm from
you
a
think
land back in time, and I married a Republican.
He laughs like a friend of ours.
But faster.
If you like the Men's Room there on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live, the debate continues in Who Sucks Less. All right, still to come, we'll drink and toast with the shot of the day, the return of what you don't need to know. The Poop and Pee edition is coming up next. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Coming up, we will drink and toast. The shot of the day is moments away, but first,
we're full of useless information, and you have far too many brain cells not to let us kill a few. So lend an ear while the Men's Room shares what you don't need to know.
All right, hypothetical here. Let's just assume that we live in a world where you don't have a toilet.
All right.
And every day you just go out there in the backyard and do your business. You can actually see the volume of what's going on. All right? Okay. So if you are one of those people, and we've had a couple of people do this before, where they've gotten on the scale before and after to see basically what they weigh before and after and how big they're.
Yeah.
All right. How much do you think on an average day? How many ounces of fecal matter does your body get rid of?
Ounces or pounds? We're less than pounds?
Ounces, yeah.
25.
32.
About 14. Scientists.
Really? Less than a pound.
This is an average of everybody. Exactly. It's not
throughout the day?
Throughout the day.
Huh.
Yeah. On the average day, you will eliminate about 14 ounces of fecal matter. Now, so that adds up to about 312 pounds of poop a year.
Okay.
Now, so hypothetically, by the time you're 21, you'll have produced over 3 tons of poop.
Wow.
Just at 21 years old. If you're a man with a life expectancy of, say, 76 years old, you will produce 24,320 pounds of poop.
It's like 12 and a half tons.
That is 12 tons, or the weight of approximately 2 elephants.
Okay, all right.
Not bad, right?
Next time you go to the zoo, remember that.
Okay, quick quiz here. If you're a woman, do you produce more or less?
I'm saying more.
More.
If you're a woman with a life expectancy of 81, you'll produce, which is the average life expectancy, you'll produce 25,920 pounds, so almost 1 ton more than a man.
But they're living longer, too.
Right. That's
They got 5 years to do it.
This is how much you're going to poop in your lifetime. Women last longer than men. This is just the scientific numbers. Oh, and if you add up all the fecal matter produced by people in the world every year, it adds up to 640 billion pounds.
Wow.
Just so you know.
Wow.
Yes. According to a new survey, by the way, if you've ever used a handicap stall in a public bathroom, 77% of us have done it.
Yeah.
Here's details on more of a different study. Outdoor peeing in a rural area, 70% have peed outside. In an urban area, like maybe in an alleyway or against a building, 35%. In the shower, 55%. And in the ocean, 50%. Some of the additional there, but there you go.
I've peed everywhere they've asked.
Wherever I need to go.
Yeah.
All right, Wobbin, we made it to drinking time.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drinking time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Steve at Thrill Hill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. And today we toast Mr. Anthony Sevo of Royal Oak, Michigan. All you need to know is that he had to show up and pay off a parking fine. The parking fine was for only $10, and he was going to put it on his credit card, or so he says. But he says he balked at the processing fee of $1.75, or 17.5% of his actual fine. He said, I'm not going to do it. So according to him, that's when he broke out his rolls of pennies. He was going to pay his $10 ticket with rolls of pennies, kind of as an FU, but it is, in fact, legal tender. The only problem with the story is, they said, why would you have $10 in rolled pennies if your intent was to pay with a credit card? That's a whole other story. Anyway, they decided they were not going to take his pennies, but instead either demanded cash, write a check, or simply use your credit card. He refused. One thing led to another. Put it this way, I'm toasting him because this is the headline we got. Man says he was choked until he pooped his pants for trying to pay parking ticket with pennies.
Oh, wow.
And they did choke him out until he pooped his pants. That part is true.
Where was this?
This was in Royal Oak, Michigan. He had a $10 fine. Decided to pay him pennies. They're like, come on, man. You know, we're not dealing with that stuff. The words start getting bigger and bigger. I'm not sure what led to them trying to subdue him. Because obviously he's not mentioning that part. Apparently it's all in surveillance. But they kind of choked him out from behind. And again, as he says, and now he's trying to sue because he's very upset.
I'm shocked
he
by
was choked until he pooped his pants for trying to pay with pennies.
I just paid a parking ticket for my daughter. It was $55.
Mm-hmm. We pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies.
Down the hola, bitcholas!
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.